weird spot where the two of the teams that they have brought in from the American in BYU or two of the teams that they've brought in BYU and Houston have kind of staked their claim at the top of the conference, right? Houston has won it 2 years in a row, coming off of a Final Four. BYU has the number one recruit in the country coming in and just stole a point guard from a guy that won a national championship in 2021. And then you have Texas Tech, who's got all this oil billionaire tycoon money flowing through their program, and JT Toppin coming back and Christian Anderson coming back. Grant McCaslin kind of going out and getting whatever pieces he wants that fit perfectly within his system. I think that he's I would make the argument he is as good as anybody in college basketball right now at identifying what he wants out of a player and what he wants out of a system and finding those guys out in the transfer market. So credits to Texas Tech. But this is a league with Kansas, who won the title in 2022, and Baylor, who won the title in 2021, and Iowa State, another program that has been kind of one that we've thought about at the top of the league for a long time, Mike. And did they do enough this offseason to stay there? Did they do enough for us to be able to look here and say, yeah, yes, Iowa State is going to be a contender in the Big 12 again next season?
Not currently as constructed. I think what's helped them the last few years has been that retention piece. It's why they were ranked so high preseason last year, is because Gilbert was back and Lipsey was back, Momcilovic was back, Jones was back. I mean, they had a lot of those guys coming back. And although you do have Lipsey back, you do have Jefferson back, Momcilovic is back. I mean, Gilbert, replenishing the Gilbert and Jones scoring punch, you have to. I think if you want to be able to compete in this conference. Now, what I will say is, Otts has done such a good job. I look particularly with that team last year. You go out and you get Jefferson, you get Deshaun Jackson, you get Heisey, you get Chatfield, you get these different guys. I think really filled in nicely as guys coming from the mid-major level to be role guys around some of these. And Jefferson proved to be more probably high usage than anybody expected him to be. But he's still, I think Otts has done some of that this offseason, but it's not the same roster as last offseason. So I think we're still waiting, unless you look at like Dominic Nelson and Mason Williams and you're expecting some sort of leap when they come to the high major level to be that impact scorer. I got to think that they're not done, that they may have one more addition to make. Now they still have, I think, a really solid identity where they want to turn you over. They want to get out. They want to, try to get to the free throw line at a high rate. But again, you lose Gilbert, who was a huge component of that. So how do they replenish that? I don't have them in that top tier. And that's not even a knock on Iowa State, because I think particularly Houston and Texas Tech are that good.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Like I think there's an argument to be made that Texas Tech and Houston are both in the top tier when it comes to like national title contenders for next season, right? And I think I'm not quite there yet on BYU, but like name me a better top three on paper than Robert Wright, AJ DeBonsa, and Richie Saunders, right? Like you got three guys that could legitimately be in the conversation for first team all Big 12. Name me a better top three that anybody in America has. I mean, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Renn, like that's probably to me the only one that's really in that same kind of conversation, right? And I just don't think that Iowa State is there. And I don't think that they need to be there either, because Otts has kind of built this thing in the mold of the sum is going to be greater than the parts. But that's a lot easier to do when your parts are Keshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones, who are two guys that can go out and get you 25 on any given night. Sometimes both of them got 25 on the same night. I do think it'll help that Lipsey hopefully will be healthier. And Junior Momcilovic, I think, is someone that can kind of step in and have a bigger impact. But I'm kind of with you, man. Like I'm a little bit underwhelmed with this iteration of the Iowa State roster. If I had to guess, I think what he's banking on is some of these freshmen are going to come in. They're going to have a year where they kind of maybe are, I'm doing air quotes here for the people listening on audio, only top 25-ish. But have those guys come around. You still got another year with Lipsey. You still got another year with Momcilovic. So hopefully by the time that's all said and done, you're looking at a situation where you're going to have some veterans with some returning presences in that freshman. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like he's kind of building this one with a 2-year window in mind.
Yeah. And I don't want Iowa State fans listening to this to think that this is just a continuation of how the season ended. Because I think, Rob,
Mhm.
you and I can both agree that that probably wasn't a fair, calculation of Iowa State by the end of that season with all the injuries, and they just didn't have a ton of continuity by the end of it. But this is just truly trying to look at this roster and forecast out in a conference that, let's be real. I mean, Alabama's probably taking a little bit of a step back. Auburn's probably taking a little bit of a step back. I mean, we'll
Mhm.
see. But I mean, the Big 12 could be a conference this year that we look at and talk about like the SEC last year. So that's the reason why we're talking about Iowa State like this, is because if you want to compete for a conference title in this conference in particular, you're going to need some dudes, and they have that. But I think they're going to need to have some of these dudes pop or get another addition to compete for that, for the conference.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like once you've kind of climbed the tower and you've reached that like top 5, top 6, top 7 nationally conversation, all of a sudden when you take a step back, I mean, let's they had a year where they went 2-22 under my guy Steve Prohm, right? It was not a good season. I love Steve Prohm. It was not a good season for Iowa State. And if we would have told Iowa State fans at that point, yeah, you know what, you're going to have a perennial top 25 team when Oz gets here, I think they would have taken that. But at the same time, once you're kind of like, yeah, you know what, they've been top 5, top 10 the last 3 years, and now all of a sudden you're looking at it like, yeah, you know what, they might just be good. Then that's just it's kind of the weight of expectations that come with the program. They'll be in my preseason top 25.